Angel Hare. Angel Hare is a 2D animated analog horror series created by the East Patch that follows Jonah, a man who stumbles upon a VHS of his beloved childhood cartoon, Angel Hare. The show's main character, Angel Gabby, is a white rabbit with yellow wings who guides viewers through moral lessons using biblical principles. Jonah's past was, to put it, easily troubled. It was marked by neglect and abuse from his father and strained relationships with those around him, which is why he sought comfort from Angel Hare. In Jonah's old recordings of the episode, she appears to answer him in real time. The story revolves around Jonah's youth through the different versions of this show.
The Smile Tapes. Smile Tapes is a 2021 analog horror series by Puerto Rico, styled after 1990s media. It's about this mysterious substance called smile. Totally nothing suspicious about it at all. Extracted from Abaliomundo rhesus, an otherworldly type of fungus discovered during an excavation. Smile elicits extremely powerful emotions, strange behaviors, and grotesque physical changes. Among them, a strained smile. The infection progresses in stages until it concludes with the host's eventual demise, whereupon the spores are released. Variants of the fungus can produce different variants of the changed individuals who have come to be called Smilers. The Smile Tapes is a PSA on don't do that, kids. Stay clean, kids. Don't do smile.
Toe, E-O-E-2-O-E, yeah, Toe. It's a series created by Dr. Nowhere. Its main premise is delving into the terrifying presence of this abomination called the Locust. It's a strange creature capable of emerging through screens, specifically targeting individuals via video calls. The series involves interactions with victims, usually with the Locust, communicating through cryptic messages and violent actions. Like for example, in Ta 3, viewers are presented with a disturbing series of drawings and messages in the creature's humble abode, each suggesting a twisted view of good children and their behaviors. The eerie atmosphere builds as an app called Pen Palace, which is meant to be used to message your loved ones. There, two online friends, Carter and Dominic, interact. Dominic insists on a video call where Carter reluctantly agrees, only to find the Locust in the corner of his room, its presence hinting at a horrifying connection to his disappearance. The entity's desire to gulp down its victim's organs without leaving physical marks makes video calls even less fun to do now.
Backrooms. The Backrooms is an analog horror web series developed by C. Parsons. It's a separate media from the original Backrooms 4chan post. It centers on Async, a fictional research institute which stumbles upon the complex, an endless maze of liminal spaces, of these annoying yellow wallpaper and buzzing light sounds that make you want to tear your ear off. The setting is in the 1990. It looks at Async as it tries to document and get deeper into this strange nightmare realm, where horrific anomalies and people keep disappearing. The series tackles themes like government conspiracies and psychological effects brought about by delving into the unknown. And is it worth risking the lives of many for a chance to find out about the unknown?
The Rolling Giant. The Oldest View is a horror web series created by Kane Pixels, same guy that made the Backrooms series. It explores eerie, surreal phenomena surrounding a mall called the Valley View Center, which was an actual mall but was demolished in May 2023. In the series, the mall mysteriously reappears underground, only being accessible through strange stairwells carved into the earth. The story follows Wyatt, our main man, who documents his descent into the haunting ruins using his phone's trusty camera. He soon, unfortunately, discovers the mall is not abandoned, but inhabited by this monstrous Rasputin-looking puppet called the Rolling Giant. This guy begins to attack Wyatt by rolling towards him. Yeah, stairs are this guy's worst enemy.
The Monument Mythos. The Monument Mythos is a YouTube analog horror series by Alex Kisanis that dives deep into a paranormal alternate history. The series explores behind famous landmarks like the Statue of Liberty, which has some called the Liberty Lurker inside of it, or strange stuff happening at Mount Rushmore. The plot follows these fictional presidencies like J.D. Rockefeller, James Dean, and Al Gore, with alternate realities containing conspiracy theories, Lovecraftian creatures, and dystopian technologies. Some of the recurring elements include extra-dimensional special trees, deadly Giza glass, and that sentient, violent freedom.
The Boiled One. The Boiled One phenomenon is an analog horror video by Dr. Nowhere that's about broadcast interference and psychological horror. It's framed like a public warning. The video recounts a mysterious event involving a rerun of a 1990s nature documentary that was abruptly interrupted by a disturbing broadcast known as Broadcast 813. This event centered around a disgusting putrid entity called Fen 228, which triggers eerie psychological and even physical effects in viewers. sewers, culminating in mass confusion in a massive real-life blackout. He's a tall, thin humanoid with red skin and a misshapen, melted head, looking like he's been put in a microwave. He can change height and is mostly invisible, seen only by cameras or a chosen individual. Fen 228 has the ability to manipulate people's bodies, enabling him to induce paralysis or locked-in syndrome, which is a condition in which a patient cannot move or communicate due to complete paralysis of nearly all muscles in their body except for the eyes. At the center of the story is Job Zamperini, a World War II veteran who becomes one of the key witnesses to the phenomenon. After viewing this broadcast, our pal Zamperini began to experience terrifying visions and became paralyzed. He believes that Fen 228 has entered his home. As his condition worsens, he communicates only through blinking and Morse code, describing the haunting presence of Fen 228. Anyways, to avoid that, here's what to do. Avoid contact with Fen 228 and its face from the footage. Use earplugs and recite Psalm 91:10. If you hear unusual noises, seek help if unholy thoughts persist, and wear blue light glasses if you've seen the footage. If not, then enjoy being a vegetable. But you will. The Man in the Suit. The Man in the Suit analog horror series created by Unknowingly. It's about the tragic and horrifying transformation of a Japanese man who becomes one with the Godzilla suit. His obsession with Godzilla leads to him merging with the suit, becoming a monstrous supernatural figure known as the Man, resembling Godzilla but with grotesque internal changes. This Godzilla fanatic also has a deep-seated animosity towards stemming from the scars of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, to the point he assaulted a Japanese colleague who was portraying an American kaiju. Later on, his condition is kept secret as he communicates through growls and exhibits increasingly violent behavior, even injuring fellow actors. The Man gains superhuman strength, regenerative abilities, and the power to infect others with his bite, causing them to fuse with their suits. So basically, he became Godzilla. Probably the only person in history to want to become Godzilla of all things.
The Mandela Catalog. The Mandela Catalog is an analog horror series by Alex Kister, set in the fictional county of Mandela, Wisconsin. It follows these entities known as alternates, shape-shifting entities that psychologically inflict cruel punishments on people until they gen themselves or forget who they are completely, so that the alternates may take over their lives. They manipulate audiovisual media, be it TVs, computers, or even GPS devices, and use technology as a vessel of terror. The core of the series is religious horror, with heavy biblical references. The alternates are implied to be malevolent entities led by a deceptive, hellish force posing as the Archangel Gabriel. This false Gabriel distorts biblical stories into his view that he is humanity's true savior, while delivering messages of despair and doom. Major themes dealt with in this series are existential dread, fragility of human identity, and the psychological aspect of fear. The series tries to criticize over-reliance on technology because it might make people alienated and manipulate them. It depicts paranoia and fear due to unseen forces in the most known places, using eerie visuals of VHS corrupted media and PSAs. It is a haunting look into the aspect of the vulnerability of man to malevolent and otherworldly power. Local 58. Local 58 is an analog horror web series by Chris Straub, presented as a hijacking of broadcasts from the fictional public access television channel in Mason County, West Virginia. It uses creepy emergency alert system interruptions, cryptic programming, and surreal found footage to paint dire scenarios, embody cosmic horror, mental influence, and the breakdown of society. Many of their stories focus on how helpless humans can be before unimaginable forces beyond our comprehension. The government broadcast originally urges people not to look at the moon, warning that it has become dangerous. However, the broadcast is later hijacked by an unknown entity that contradicts this warning, instead urging viewers to look at it. Another example of their tomfoolery is in this dashcam footage, where it depicts a driver who is taken by his GPS on a bizarre adventure through the forest to park and turn off his headlights. A loud roar from outside encourages him to turn the lights back on, at which point he notices a bedazzled creature standing in the road. The GPS insists that the destination is behind him, counting down the distance while the creature gives chase to the car. The feed ends with the car wrecked, the creature unseen, the GPS tone distorted, saying, "The driver has arrived. Vita Carnis." Vita Carnis, Latin for living meat, is an analog horror series made by Darian Coy. It is about flesh-like creatures which suddenly started to pull up in the year 1930, probably related to some sort of cult activity. Whatever the hell they are, They are thought to be Earthborn rather than from space. The first sighting of the skinless, flesh-like organism was in 1931, after which they grew and began to spread. Soon after their discovery, several species types came into view. Every species is said to have come from the crawlers. Others are trimmings, meat snakes, mimics, harvesters, hosts of influence, monoliths. All of which are different and have different impacts on humanity, which range from almost helpful to deadly, with some having a very high body count. The crawl is the root species of Vita Carnis. It has red, intestine-like tendrils that recycle nutrients, enriching entire ecosystems and supporting plant and animal life. Humans can use it as fertilizer or even as food, though the latter is barely appetizing due to its taste and appearance. The trimmings are small, meaty, turtle-like creatures created by the crawl. They have unique features and are docile, relying on their screeching or appearance for defense. Trimmings are scavengers, eating anything edible, and are often preyed upon. The meat snake is a large, worm-like creature that feeds only on dead meat. It grows by absorbing the flesh of its meals, changing its skull over time. Tameable and defenseless, the meat snake is used by humans to safely dispose of rotting meat. The mimic is a humanoid-looking predator that hunts us humans. It evolves into a more human-like form as it feeds, using ambush tactics to catch prey. After an overabundance of food, it will evolve into a larger, more evolved predator. Elder mimics have durable skin and are harder to eliminate, with their face being the only weak point. Detection is tricky, but can be done by observing unnatural features on people like long fingers, odd walking, or a disturbing smile. The harvester is a plant-like creature with a 3M bulb and tendrils that can extend up to 150 m around it. It paralyzes and drains large prey with venomous spines, then drags it underground to digest it. It focuses on large animals, leaving smaller ones alone as they're not worth the effort, and absorbs the nutrients to fuel its growth. The host of influence resembles a semi-human with tendrils for legs. It releases spores that infect living organisms, rendering them slow, cloth-like, and slowly get them to walk back to the host, where they are then absorbed. The host, for the most part, stays in its place, but is capable of movement if required. The monolith is a 120 m tall, twice the height of the colossal titan for reference, meat fiber structure with thick legs and rope-like appendages, found in a circle on an island in Hudson Bay. They remain still and silent unless provoked. When active, they can swipe, emit EMP blasts, and regenerate rapidly. Little is known about their life cycle, and they can pose a significant threat to humanity.
The Walton Files. The Walton Files is an animated horror series on YouTube created by Martin Walls. The series is presented as a collection of VHS tapes and is heavily inspired by Five Nights at Freddy's. It's the 1970s, revolving around Bond's Burger, a children-orientated restaurant featuring animatronics created by Jack Walton and Felix Kranken under the management of Bunny Smiles Inc. The story goes from happy-go-lucky to misery when a tragic accident with Jack accidentally game-ending two of his children by drunk driving. Felix, who was obviously racked with guilt, buries them in a forest and goes missing. Soon after, Bond's Burgers opens, but strange and violent events unfold with animatronics like Bon and Buzu becoming bloodthirsty. Employees are game-ended and stuffed into the animatronics. Sound familiar? Which leads to the restaurant's closing in 1974. Over the years, Felix continues to work on the animatronics, but more deaths occur as the haunted past of Bond's Burgers unravels. Sophie Walton, Jack's surviving daughter, eventually starts to uncover the horrifying truth about the restaurant's dark legacy. Greylock. The Greylock Archives are an analog horror series created by Rob Gavigan. It centers on eerie and unexplained phenomena in Berkshire County, Massachusetts, particularly around Mount Greylock. The story is shown through a series of found footage tapes which document the bizarre activities of the shadowy company Semiotian USA, which appears to be experimenting with dangerous entities known as thought forms. What are they exactly? Thought forms are basically the physical expressions of a person's thoughts and emotions, not ghosts, usually due to family grief. The thought form manifestor created by Semiotian USA allows for the quick creation of sentient and independent thought forms, which can appear as humans, animals, and whatever the hell this is. And yeah, they are violent. Here's a quick zinger for you. Arnold Rivers, who's a documentarian for the Greylock Project, uncovered ancient artifacts and grew fearful of mysterious events. He shared what he discovered and went back home, where he was ultimately game-ended by a thought form after investigating further. So, yeah, The Painter. The Painter is a controversial analog horror horror and crime web series created by Urban Spook centered around a pair of psycho-emotional murderers known as the Painters. It's set somewhere in the early to mid-2000s, which follows the horrifying aftermath of their murder spree, which these deranged cretins leave disturbing paintings of their victims at each crime scene as a signature that it was done by them. The killers, Mona Delanius and Bill Collins, have game-ended over 100 people with their crimes documented through VHS-style police case files, from Stabby Stab Stab, Lit Party, and Rocking Cuisine because their names Sarah and Michael Stone had the word stone in it. The Monument Mythos. The Monument Mythos is a YouTube analog horror series by Alex Casanas that dives deep into a paranormal alternate history. The series explores behind famous landmarks like the Statue of Liberty, which has some called the Liberty Lurker inside of it, or strange stuff happening at Mount Rushmore. The plot follows these fictional presidencies like J.D. Day, Rockefeller, James Dean, and Al Gore, with alternate realities containing conspiracy theories, Lovecraftian creatures, and dystopian technologies. Do you know the Statue of Freedom? Yeah, I bet you don't. It's actually a living being. Some of the recurring elements include extra-dimensional special trees, deadly Giza glass, and that sentient, violent freedom. The Smile Tapes. The Smile Tapes is a 2021 analog horror series by Puerto Rico styled after 1990s media. It's about this mysterious substance called smile, totally nothing suspicious about it at all, extracted from a Balomundo rhesus, an otherworldly type of fungus discovered during an excavation. Smile elicits extremely powerful emotions, strange behaviors, and grotesque physical changes among them. A strained smile, the type of stuff you'd find a Reddit post urging you not to use. The infection progresses in stages until it concludes with the host's eventual demise, whereupon the spores are released. Variants of the fungus can produce different variants of the changed individuals who have come to be called smilers. Chat.
Petscop is a horror web series created by Tony DiMeno. It's framed like a 2014 Let's Play of this unfinished PlayStation game. Our protagonist, Paul, finds this game and documents his playthrough to share with a friend, only to discover the dark side of the game. What at first appeared to be a weird, quirky game about catching creatures called pets leads Paul into the New Maker Plane, a creepy, even more hidden world filled with cryptic puzzles, among other things. With some uncomfortable references to real-life tragedy, such as the loss of Candace Newmaker in a controversial therapy session involving rebirthing, which tragically ended with her passing away. As Paul proceeds through this game, disturbing connections are learned that can be drawn between its contents and his own life. The series deals with trauma, child neglect, and some haunting effects of bad therapy, where the hidden layers, mysterious characters, and fragmented narrative make for a disturbing atmosphere that further blurs the boundary between fiction and reality. Gemini Home Entertainment. Gemini Home Entertainment is an analog horror web series by Remy Abode that's been posted to YouTube since 2019. This series is about a collection of VHS tapes from the 80s and 1990s. Produced by different fictional companies such as Arnad Computing and Harbage Technologies, then distributed by the titular Gemini Home Entertainment. The series combines cosmic horror, surrealism, and Native American mythology as it opens an alien invasion and the following apocalypse. Of course, like anything, the tapes start super mundane and a little boring, but start spiraling down into terrors in the form of parasitic creatures called wood crawlers, a mysterious condition called deep root disease, and an unusual fungus called Nature's Mockery. The Grand Master behind all the terror is the Iris. This Eye of Cthulhu-looking orbits between Neptune and Pluto. It is some kind of sentient, planet-like entity orchestrating the invasion of Earth. While episodes of the main series build up a cohesive storyline, the spin-off, entitled Library C, ups several concepts and addresses sideline stories setting the stage about the impending doom of the human race.